pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we don't have any visitors listed for tonight. Going to jump to the warrants have been passed around. Peter, you have some questions, sir?
No, I don't have any questions tonight.
All resolved, okay. I'd ask for a motion on the minutes for the January 31st, 2012 City Council meeting.
Make said motion.
Second.
Randy made the motion, Lowell seconded it. Any omissions, corrections, or errors? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We will talk about budget report.
Yeah, budget report, we're, based on the number of days in the year here, the percentage, we should be at slightly above 65%. So, obviously anything that is over that might be of concern unless it's something that we've already paid for the year. Let me just talk a little bit about on the revenue side. I will tell you that there's the clerk fees is down a fair amount, as you can see, and obviously it's a function of people aren't refinancing or buying or selling, and so that is down and probably will not make it to. There's no way we can't like run specials to try to bring in more clerk recording fees, so that's going to fall short. The other thing, I just want to let you know really about how dog fines and fees work, and we actually could run dog fines both on the expense side and the revenue side. We could actually run the whole thing off budget, to be honest with you. And I think what we do is we budget $300 in revenue and $300 in expense, and the fact of the matter is we don't really control how many dogs get caught, and we can't necessarily control if they're going to pay, but in theory it's a wash, because we pay the dog catcher $30 and we pay the pound whatever their pound charges are. And on the revenue side, Joan bills out the $30 for the dog catcher and bills out the pound charges, and so basically it's a wash. And yes, sometimes we make money on dogs if they get lodged by a police officer. The police officer doesn't get the $30. On the other side, if somebody's dog if we pick up a dog and there's no tags and we never find the owner, we have to pay the dog catcher and we have to pay the fine. All right. So anyway, like when you see that we've collected or collected $1,500, about 3 pages in, you'll find that we spent it all because of fees at the pound. I mentioned before, under outside sources, that pilot, that $66,000 at 95%, it's not like there's another check coming in the door. That's all that we're getting this year, and as I mentioned before, even though pilot increased by I think it was 2.65%, because of a building in Winooski that received a new $100,000, some money came out of our pocket, so that's all that we're going to get. So there's a $3,000 shortfall there. Interest earnings, I've explained before, is done by fair market value, and we're way ahead of what we had originally estimated. And I explained at the last meeting about how a lot of miscellaneous revenues have come in. There actually is a number of things in the budget that I need to kind of adjust. An example is that we did receive, I think it was around $9,300 or $9,800, John, from FEMA for it came from the state of Vermont actually, but it was really FEMA money that related to the damage that occurred on Green Street when that ditch all got really eroded out, and we spent $11,000-12,000 on that, and it's never guaranteed that you're going to get the money from FEMA, because I mean you've got to really document all of pre-existing conditions and the work that you did, and then if you can meet all of their requirements, you get the check. And so what I did in last fiscal year, now that was a spring, there was 2 spring storms, and so we just charged it to the budget because it was not guaranteed that it was gonna be covered by FEMA. And we actually got that money, and so therefore it showed up as a non-budget income at this point, and we probably just offset that against, charges in the public works budget, because we didn't treat it that way in the period before. So, obviously, no snow out there. The public works budget is in tremendous shape. We obviously stockpile sand. We do stockpile some salt, but we haven't had to buy a heck of a lot. We haven't had to pay for any rented equipment, even though we have the farmer's truck parked down at the garage, but we don't pay. We keep track of the hours that we use it, and so we haven't had to pay any money in that. Overtime in the public works department is we put a very small dent in it. We're really way ahead of the game. So, but obviously, we're not out of winter. So, until we are, we can't claim victory. But it looks pretty good at this point.
I have a couple questions.
Go for it.
Under the police department budget, I'm just curious, how do we make up the vehicle, the fuel, like, they're allowed 15,000 gallons, and right now they've used.
$50,000,
They're at $15,000, and right now they've used 12,103, and they're 80.69.
Yeah.
How do we, when it gets to the end of the year, or fiscal year, how do we, obviously they're gonna need more gas than that.
Yeah, it'll go over.
It will go over.
We don't play around with the budget, Sig. If it's we don't.
In other words, how do we come up with the funds to make up the difference if we're all on a budget here?
Well, obviously, if every expense line item went over budget, we would be in a deficit.
Right.
No different than if every revenue line item was short, we would be in a deficit. And sure, I would like to have every line just come in on budget, but that's not how it works. This is a good example. It's like fuel oil. When I put the budget together, I anticipated being able to pre-buy fuel at $3.30 a gallon. And by the time we do our pre-buy in August, and when we got around to August, the pre-buy rate was $3.50 or $3.60, whatever it was. And so, I pre-bought the number of gallons that we need, but we didn't budget enough. And so those budgets, fuel oil, those are all over budget. And now, obviously what that means is that we need to make sure that there's other line items that don't get 100% spent.
Okay.
So that, because we can't, just simply allow that, knowing that line item is over, it's got to be made up somewhere else, And it happens in a lot of, sure, there are some line items in here that are, I'm going to say, discretionary. Let's say we have a line item, take paving, for instance. We plan on spending $125,000 in paving. And so we spent $85,000 in the summer, on the assumption that we would do more paving in the spring. But if, let's say that we have fuel oil and other expenses that have gone over budget, to make sure that we don't go into a deficit, there's so-called discretionary spending that we just wouldn't do, to make sure that we don't spend our way into a deficit. Some of the line items, obviously, we don't have an option. For instance, the insurance that we pay on all of our buildings, the insurances on buildings, workers' compensation is calculated on a calendar year basis. The city's budget is on a fiscal year basis. So here I am trying to put a budget together in May, only knowing a half year's worth of information, and then projecting the other half. That's what I have to do, and I try my best to forecast that, but I don't have a crystal ball. We hope that those estimates are not off by very much, but if they are off, meaning that those budgets are short, we have to make it up by making decisions of deferring purchases that we might have thought we would have afforded to make. but have to defer, just like at home.
Any other questions, Nikki?
No, I'm digesting what he told me.
Okay. In the meanwhile, does anybody else have any questions of Mel? If something comes up and you want to come back to this, Ziggy, we can do that later on in the meeting. Okay?
Yep.
That work? Okay, then what we're going to do is jump to 4A, committee reports. Does anybody have anything that they want to report on? Hearing nothing. Okay, we're going to go to public comments. Ladies, have anything to offer? Thank you. Then we're going to go to old business. Addison County Regional Planning Commission recruitment for a Vergennes delegate. Mel?
I've lost track of what I reported to you last time, but I think I mentioned that I thought I had somebody.
That's where it was left off.
And actually, I don't mind telling you what I had in my mind. Greg Edwards is the person that we have appointed to what's called the TAC, the Transportation Advisory Committee of Addison County. It's like a subcommittee, if you will, of Addison County Regional Planning. Greg lives in town here. He works for Stantec. He's a transportation engineer. I've known Greg for a while and felt that was putting him on the TAC would be the right place for him to help us out, and he enjoys it. And I sent him an email about whether or not he would consider becoming our regional delegate as well. And he said he would think about it, and then he wrote back and said, well, if I did that, I would have to get off the TAC. And I thought, well, that's good, but if that's what he wanted to do, that was okay. But anyway, he wrote me back again after thinking about it and wants to stay on as our representative on the TAC and not get involved as on the regional commission. So that recruitment effort that I had failed. So we're still back to the drawing board, looking for at least one new member.
Okay. Any other questions on that? If not, we'll go to item B, police station site ranking.
Yeah, I sent a spreadsheet out to everyone, and I'm obviously you got your agenda packets a week early, and actually thought that maybe I would have to, when I got back, to give you an updated agenda, and I obviously ran out of time on Monday, so you didn't get any cover memo that might have helped, at least in this instance, to figure out what I did here. 5 out of the 7 members of the board did indeed rank the sites 1 through 13. In the case of Lowell only ranked his top 5. And so what I did to try to get numbers in every one of the boxes here, in the case of Lowell, when I put in his top 5, that left 8 other sites unranked. And so what I simply did is I just added the numbers from 6 to 13 and divided by 8 and came up with what is actually 8.78, I think what the numbers is, and entered 9 in there. In the case of Zig, she only ranked the New Haven Road site and didn't rank any of the other sites, and so I simply did a similar mathematical calculation to, in essence, having all of the other sites tied for second, if you will. It just simply added them up, and Mike and I have chatted a little bit about where do we go from here. One option that Mike thought about was like, Lowell, would you mind ranking the other 8 sites? Zig, would you mind ranking the other sites? That's one option that we could go. Another option would be to, could we possibly eliminate some sites? Maybe just concentrate, instead of concentrating on the top of the list, to concentrate on the bottom of the list and maybe eliminate some of these sites, and then possibly re-rank. Mike mentioned maybe we should, maybe we could add some different criteria to the list and just re-rank. Because I think that, obviously 13 sites is really too many to look at. Let's get this thing narrowed down. Maybe if we were to say, could we possibly eliminate 5 sites tonight, re-rank, and then agree to get that list down to 3 at the next meeting, and then start looking at it more at both location and cost and another thing that I've thought about, Mike, I haven't mentioned this to you, is the Planning Commission, the DRB. I mean, they deal with land development all the time. That might be a couple of logical groups to hear from. Just to give some additional input to the council before we move forward. As I mentioned before, this is not a race to me. It's not I do believe that the existing situation, just the way that the city plan is written, it does warrant looking at the possibility or consideration, if you will, of moving the police department out of the facility. So I just want to keep moving in accordance with that plan. But it's not like we have some urgent need at this point.
So you still want us to consider this? Because before you had it not to consider what the cost, just to figure out what the best location would be.
That was the first criteria.
Right.
And I will tell you, Zig, that I did that really in hopes of eliminating some sites, because if there's some sites here that really are not good sites because of their location, then we should eliminate them from the site. And that's really all I was trying to accomplish by that strategy.
I would suggest that we eliminate everything, my own opinion, 47 through 72, dump all those sites, and focus on the top 5.
And just remember, he took an average on some of them, though,
Yeah.
because people only voted on 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you,
Yeah.
I did some mathematical stuff, I think I sent you both an
Mhm.
email on it. If you, the impact of what you did is it changes the middle a little bit in terms of the numbers. The bottom 4 don't make any difference, but it may make a difference depending upon where Ziggy or Lowell ranked them in terms of coming in. The top 3 or 4 and the bottom 3 and 4 seem to stay the same pretty much regardless of what you did.
Okay. Yeah.
The impact of putting in the numbers like that skews the averages.
It does.
Um,
It does, but he had no other way to do it, and we
Yeah, no, I
want
understand.
we want to give both
Yep.
Lowell and Ziggy some sort of
Yep.
representation on this
Yep.
chart, and
Yep.
there really wasn't any other way to do it. So,
my other thought about doing that was just, it seems to make sense to have Ziggy and Lowell re-rank them
mhm.
and then just do the average and then drop off the bottom 5 or whatever. I mean, I think that's a very reasonable way to go. Then everybody gets their numbers in there.
You want to do it now?
The re-rank, or you want to take and talk?
Well, I thought you want to get this taken care of.
We would like to take and get rid of 5.
All right.
Well,
If the bottom 5, it isn't gonna change them a whole lot to re-rank them, maybe we could just eliminate the bottom 5. If
The only thing that we had that hit the top 3 was Randy ranked one of his out of that bottom 5
And Lowell did too.
and Lowell did too. So they both had a number 3 in one of those. Not the same. They're different ones.
Okay.
And so I'd like to see if they wanted to offer some input.
I
They're
just
strong.
suggested we take that off.
Okay.
I said, my original thought was 58 through 72.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you were, for some reason, when you were selecting, your third priority was, behind Bub's Barn.
Right.
Now, there must have been some logic why choosing that, and I don't know how strongly you feel, and if you wanna talk about it, before we just go ahead and dump it, and I wanna give that opportunity to Lowell with his choice. South side of the Panton Road, near the Panton Town line. I mean, there might have been there's definitely some thought that went into that, so. You guys, would you mind if,
No, I'm telling you, to go ahead
Yep.
and do it.
Lowell, any
I would
problem?
object dropping it.
Okay, so does anybody else? All the rest of them, the rankings are, 5 or higher. Lowell, you had a 5 on one of those, but everything else is like 6 and 7s and 9s and 11s and 13s. So it really, I think, talks for itself there that, we could easily drop those bottom 5.
How about 1, 2, 3, 4? I guess it is 5.
You could almost take the next one up too.
Yep, 49. Well, that's why I was thinking 47, but I don't know.
Well, if you go to 47,
And there's
I
fours
want
and threes.
my time on 2 cents for why I think 48 Green Street's a ideal location.
Where is 48 Green?
Aha! You don't know where 48 Green Street is, Randy. I'm gonna embarrass the hell out of you.
Fine.
You ranked this, and you didn't rank 48 Green Street.
Right across from my building.
It's this brick building right next door.
Oh, but that was occupied.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the only
You know
thing
we've
was
got to have-
positioning of the location. That's all it was. So, and Bar knows nothing about money.
See,
So-
I can't get that out of my head. I mean,
I
that
know,
land down there
I know,
is
because
free.
because when I was ranking, I did that because I'm gonna say, okay, if we do this building, what offsets? You're gonna have to tear the building down, and so yes, that I end up, because I like you, I didn't want to go through the exercises too many times. That's why I use that also as a factor. But I also try to make lead that position was number 1.
Sue, who else ranked at number 4? The whole
So.
Joe.
I definitely would have some changes on mine. On some of those, because everything, I only put the first one down there, and some of these that are 7s, probably a couple of them would change.
Would
One
those,
of them-
anything in that bottom 5
Yeah, it would.
change?
Yeah.
You'd wanna keep one of those, you mean?
Well, I would change. I'd probably do a 4 on one of them, 3 or 4. But-
Okay. Do we go backwards and ask
Well, I
them
was
to
just
redo it?
thinking down there, I really have to think this over again. My whole mind's gonna change completely different. Well, the first 3, definitely nothing on the bottom.
So there's not a problem with the first?
4, probably. Well, no, excuse me, 3. Bub's Barn isn't bad, to me.
It's not about the barn.
The furniture barn behind there, that spot.
You're right.
There's a
Other
blank
side.
piece of land.
Yeah. That would be one of my spots, probably.
One of my concerns on that is
The intersection.
access to the road.
Yeah.
And where you coming out. If you're gonna have to come out on Green Street, then you gotta go, if you're coming into town and you got some residential, if you can't come back to New Haven Road, you got some real dangerous spots, and they have to move at points and times, and to come across that new bulb out around that corner is gonna be tricky. And I just foresee concerned citizens offering thoughts on cruisers going through that intersection, and especially small children.
Pretty close to that neighborhood too.
I probably would go with Denneker's, but I don't know how I'd rank it. But I can't see
Denneker's
Denneker's.
Real Estate, the
The first one you have there.
yep, the very top one.
The only concern is it's this huge building for a police station. That's my concern. Why are we gonna need all that space? Unless something
You can
else
store the
goes there
cars
with it.
inside.
if you have
They
some
wouldn't have
spare
to be
time,
running outside.
if you have
I
some
have to go
spare
look at
time,
it.
what I would
I've
suggest,
been over there twice.
no, what I would suggest is you get into, either the New Haven Barracks and see what their layout is
It's
and
pretty
what it would
expansive.
involve, and kinda take and think about the footprint. Yes, they do have some offices down there that you wouldn't need, but you also wanna plan for the future and allow for growth.
I've been
Mel
in
talked,
there.
Mel
I've been down
talked
there.
about, are we gonna have 24/7 coverage, at some point in life? So is the force, going to grow? And if so, are we gonna make, space available while we're building that, for other agencies to come in and occasionally occupy an office, should they need to? If there's something,
Well, you see, we need an outline of what we wanna actually do with the building, because, Vergennes is not that big. And like you're explaining that we might wanna have other people, maybe an agency come in. I mean, we need to know what is gonna be, I need to know what's gonna be involved in all this if we're gonna spend all this money. I need to know what we actually are looking forward, you know what I'm saying, ahead of time, not just the police station, but now you're just saying another agency comes in. I'd like to see what exactly our goal is gonna be for whatever we wanna do, and, what could possibly we wanna do.
and that would take a separate meeting altogether, because you'd have to brainstorm what you wanted, and then figure out what you could afford. And
Well,
that's a
this is-
standalone meeting, so that's why we try to keep some of that out of it, and just said, okay, let's go with the location, then we'll figure out our wish list. So, no matter how you do it, nothing's right, but nothing's wrong. Peter?
If Ziggy and Lowell redo theirs with numbers, and then you just go ahead and refigure the averages, or whatever they are,
Mhm.
and drop off the bottom 5 or 6, as long as they don't have any top 5 votes. I mean, that would allow us to get down to the next level without a lot of
Yep.
discussion, at least give us something there. I think anything that has in the top 5 should not be dropped off without discussion. I agree with you on that, Mike.
Mhm.
And I also think that another thing, Zig, is if we can, I'm trying to get rid of, really, if this is an elimination process at this stage, as far as I'm concerned, to get the list reduced. And one of the things that, once we get the list reduced, that list actually would more than likely be broken up into two different groups. A group which has no building on it, or buildings of little or no value that would be torn down, and so you'd be looking at a new building. And then another group would be a group that does have buildings on it that would not be torn down, but would be renovated for the purposes of a police station, all right? And then I think at some point, you gotta, I think that if you get to that point, I think that you are going to narrow it any further. You're gonna have some idea about cost, and that's gonna mean, engaging an architect, engaging somebody that can help you in determining, first off, an expert saying yes, or like that building there, you may think that it can be renovated, but it actually can't. For this purpose, you're asking for too much of a renovation. So, what just to save on the hiring of experts at this time, I'm trying to narrow the field. I mean, you could turn this whole thing over to an architectural firm and have them sort it out for you relative to all of that cost. And I would hope that we wouldn't want to do that prematurely.
All right, well, I am thinking of cost, and I can't get it out of my head, but the last 5, I mean, even though I'm number 6, but the point is, there is a big open space over there where somebody could park their vehicles, be plenty of room over there. And I'm not saying, because I didn't vote for it to start off with, but I would go with the last 5 at least.
As dropping them off?
Vermont, yeah, I would, I don't know about Lowell.
I'm fine with that.
Me too.
Okay, drop them off.
Okay? And
So
so
we got
what
rid of
we
5.
would,
Does, excuse me, I better back up. Does anybody else have any problem with dropping the last 5 off? Joe?
Nope.
You're good? Randy?
I'm fine.
Peter? David?
Yeah.
all right, and so what we'll do is we will reissue this with a list of 8, and you need to rank all 8, okay?
Got it?
Okay, and I think we need to start adding a few other criterias. So, because I agree with Siggy, at some point you gotta do cost, but cost has to do with
What
whether
you're
you tear the
looking for.
building down,
Yep.
what your needs are. And I don't know how we come to a common,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
no, no,
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering if we could maybe say whether the city or the police department has a list of priorities. What, in fact, really broad priorities. For example, we know that more space is a priority for them. Is more space more important than a better location? You know,
Right.
what are the police department's criteria? Maybe only 3 or 4, you know, maybe location, space, flexibility, you know, as far as like a site,
yeah.
you know,
What they're
Yeah.
gonna need is some sort of a minimum needs assessment.
right.
Uh,
And that might help us to rank those 8, you know?
Sallyport to drive a car in if they take a
Right.
prisoner in.
Exactly.
There's certain basic things in a police station that you
Right.
should have. A booking room, an alcohol room, you know, there's certain,
Well, there was an earlier, there was an, the first memo that I wrote to the city council actually had a memo from George that outlined, you know, basically things that we don't have that would need.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that there, you know, but also it doesn't have a square footage attached to it, all right? And so therefore, you know, we haven't put pen to paper and just said we need 4,450 square feet. We haven't, we really haven't done that yet, all right? Having said that, I will say that the number is somewhere between 45 and 7,000 square feet, but you know, but until we can't really hone in on that, you know, until you really start putting all of the, you know, all of the pieces together as to really how many, you know, interview rooms you need,
Right.
and you know, the Sallyport, how many square feet that is, you know, so it is an exercise, and we just haven't taken it to that level. And you know, sure, you know, George and I could do that, you know, yeah, we could hire somebody to help us do that, but I don't know that we need that at this
No,
right
I
at
don't
this
think we need
point.
that level of complexity at this point. I mean, you know, you had asked us to rank these based on location.
Yeah.
So I kinda had in my head, you know, well, maybe what they, you know, so I kinda had just a couple brief criteria, which was like access to Route 7. Seems like they're always rushing out to go down Route 7. So access to Route 7 was one of the things that I ranked it on.
Yep,
And kinda getting it out, I sorta wanted to get it outside the central business district, you know?
yep.
Um,
Well, I can
But-
tell you
and
that,
So I'm just curious if those really are really important to the police department in terms of location or not, you know, I don't know.
yeah. You know, and I will tell you that, you know, George, you know, you haven't seen me pound the table at all about a site at all, and
Right.
George and I are really, you know, trying not to, steer you all, you know, we, you know, do George and I have some preferences? Yeah, we do. Yeah, you know, there are some things that, what you're talking about, like for instance, and again, I put every potential site, good and
Yeah.
bad, on this list, and if I missed something, I didn't mean to. If you take like the Crosby site, I don't like the Bermuda Triangle, you know, the idea of getting a police cruiser up, north on Green Street to get to that, intersection, that's just an accident waiting to happen from a police department. And so safety, you know, is critical. And certainly, you know, proximity to Route 7, a nice, safe route to, you know, those things rank high, all right? Visibility, all right? You know, there are, you know, people have called me and from town and feel that it's real important that the police station be visible, all right? Well, you know, does that mean that it needs to be on Main Street? You know, does that mean that New Haven Road? So, you know, does visibility really matter, you know, or not? Those are the kinds of decisions that, you know, that those might be like preferences that George and I have, but they aren't deal breakers to us, and we would rather leave that kind of a policy decision to the city council, because if the city council really feels that the Vergennes police station should be in a highly visible location, that drives, that moves these numbers around. And I don't, yeah,
Are you saying that possibly there may be a survey going out to the people so they could,
no, we
no,
weren't doing
it'd
that.
just be
no.
ours?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say, boy, that's a lot of opinions.
No, I mean, just that little bit was helpful, in my opinion, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
You may.
When you plan to move the police department, does that also mean the fire department?
No.
No, they don't want to move?
Do they want to move? I'm going to say, I don't believe the fire department wants to move. I don't hear that. I will tell you that Jim will say that they do shoehorn their trucks into this space, all right? And, that's efficient use of space, we don't have too much space for the fire department. So there's been no discussion of some combination police, fire, rescue super facility, no.
The
I mean, this
the previous discussion from the fire department, and I do not want to speak on their behalf, was they like to be centrally located so they can go whichever way that's needed. If they've got to head to New Haven to mutual aid, it's easy to go down that way. If they've got to take and go north on 7, they usually go up to Main Street. But if then they have to go to Panton, we're close. Vergennes used to be, and I don't know if they still are, one of the fastest responding departments in Addison County. We could have people on the road, trucks on the road, within approximately a little over a minute from the time a toll went out. And other departments say, how and do you do that? It's like, we don't know. It's just the positioning of where people live within the city, quick response, safe response to the station, and out the door they go. So if you were to put them over with the rescue squad, that would slow down the response, especially if they had to go north again. So.
Oh, I agree.
Yep.
I think they're very good locations. And what about, like, the town offices?
Well, let me just say first off, June, the city, if you will, the planning commission, we wrote a new, what's called a municipal plan was developed. Municipalities are required to have a municipal plan, sometimes called a city plan or town plan. They're really good. They're good for 5 years, and 75% of the plan is about land use policy and zoning and this type of thing. The other 25% is about community facilities and community programs. And so throughout that 2-year process, which involved the public, there were a number of policies that came out of that. And one of the policies was relative to the police department. Okay, and there's no policy contained within that plan about a new place for City Hall. All right, I've told the City Council this is something where I do have an opinion on because that's where I work. I just have a real strong feeling that City Hall, my office, Joan and Joan's office, that we're in the central business district, within walking distance to the post office and our bank. All right, that is just.
I'd like to see you right up here.
What's that?
I'd like to see you right up here, where the school district and
Oh.
those things are.
That would be fine too, because it meets at least my criteria. I mean, Joan and I haven't talked about it, but I think that she would agree. We want to be in the center of town, within walking distance to the post office. And
Retired people.
So many
that do
walk-ins,
walk.
yeah.
yeah. And really, there was a time, June, that a city clerk's office provided dispatching for the police department, and so there was And there was a time when the clerk's office provided certain clerical and administrative support for the police department. That's just no longer. Joan's office does not provide dispatching for the police. We don't type out affidavits or we don't do any, there's nothing, it just isn't done that way. And you know, it's okay for us to be with the police, but they're really, you know, yeah, it's a little easy to order office supplies, and there is some efficiencies from us being in there, but the operation, they really,
And that could all be done through email, you know,
yeah.
as far as.
No, I would just, there's no parking whatsoever in front of that. You have to.
That's one
Where
of the
you are
reasons.
now, that's one
Yeah.
of the reasons I was thinking that this building up here, old Hannah's, would be perfect for town, and it would, and you need a little upgrade. I mean, that building over there is pretty old, and that's my opinion.
Thank you for your opinion. So, back to the
We got rid
question.
of
maybe,
Back to the question.
Yeah,
Any
you know-
problem with dropping, we're gonna drop the bottom five.
Yep.
I'll make it in a statement form. We're gonna drop the bottom five. Mel's gonna take and kick out a new
Yeah.
set. We're gonna come up with some game plan, some
I
better.
guess what I was
basic-
wondering, Mike, is I think if we drop 5,
Yep.
okay, and like, obviously, the first time that I put this list together, I said, I want you to rank these, you know, based on location alone. That's what I asked people to do, and that's what we did, and we got ourselves to be able to eliminate 5, I think. If, let's say that we say this next go around, you can rank them for any reason you want. And we're not gonna tell you, we're not gonna say that this time rank them based on what you think it's gonna cost. You can rank them any way you want, but you're gonna defend your ranking at the next meeting as to why you feel that yours is 1 and Peter's is 8, and you guys can, I'm trying,
Yep.
That would be good.
Okay. How's everybody
That'd be
feel?
great.
Everybody agree with that?
Because I can't get cost out of her head, all right, and I'm not gonna try.
Okay. Randy, any problem with that?
Oh, no, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, Pete?
That's true diplomatic process.
Okay. Mel, create us a new form and
Okay.
let us have at it.
All right.
And this will be actually, in the meeting in March, of which you're gonna come up with a calendar of
It'll be
when
the
that's gonna be.
second meeting in March, right?
It'll be, yeah, it won't be at the annual meeting, no.
Right.
We won't do that, we won't be performing regular business. So let me just, show Mel a calendar.
Well, I know
So,
that
we
the
there?
20th is the third
Yep, so we're gonna
Tuesday.
go with the
It's
20th.
whatever you wanna do is fine,
Let's-
with me.
Okay, 20th of March.
The next meeting?
And that would be
Yes.
the only regular meeting.
Yes.
And just to another question I asked you guys, and then back on the twice a month,
Yes.
probably for at
Yes.
least a couple months,
Oh, yeah, yep.
in April
Um,
and May. Not
Mhm.
In June.
April, May, and in June, we may, towards the end of May, we may need to jack that up.
Okay.
No, we may not. Mel's gonna be going out for some knee surgery in May.
But
So,
are we gonna have to do a lot
we
of
gotta
stuff
figure
ahead of
out,
time?
we gotta figure out how we're gonna play that out
Right.
with the budget and everything. So,
Would it be,
can figure out a Skype.
can everybody agree to bring, I will prepare this ranking for you. We'll get the sheet out to you by email
sure.
and bring it to,
Why don't we
bring it
just
to town
email
meeting.
it back to you?
That'd be
So you-
okay
So you
too.
have it all ready.
Yep, that'd be okay too.
Yeah, just send it in a Word document, and we can go in and rank it and
Yep.
Send it back.
Okay.
send it back.
Okay.
If anybody has any problem opening it, let Mel know, and, we'll get you a hard copy. Okay?
Okay.
You got David's email address?
I don't, but I'll keep after him.
I may have it, I haven't, he hasn't responded, but it was put on Facebook, and so if that is correct, I can send that to you.
Okay.
So, okay, okay, so we're on to the next thing, conflict of interest policy.
as a result of the last meeting, I eliminated a couple of the two sections that you wanted to have eliminated. And I eliminated Article 4B, and I'm gonna admit that I eliminated it because I just couldn't get my arms around it. I don't know what the hell it meant. Peter came to see me today. I don't know if that was good or bad, but anyway, you know, it really is, 4B is just poorly written to me, because it's like on the one hand, you know, there's people out there that come to a city council member to try to help them out with something. You know, somebody wants an outside serving permit and they don't know what the process is, and they go talk to their city council member, and the city council member says that they want to, you know, help them out in that regard, and they come to a city council meeting, and it's like, you know, just trying to help out a citizen. You know, the way that one reading of this is that you can't do that. You can't, you know, help somebody on their behalf or whatever. So in part, Peter and I kept reading this thing and reading it, and one of the things that we came to the conclusion of is that this model policy under B certainly needs a phrase at the end of either, doesn't matter to me, I wrote, you know, if he or she has a conflict of interest in the matter under consideration, and Peter has some language that's, you know, similar to that. It's just, because obviously what it's about, if a city council member, it's really only about when you're sitting here discussing something, voting on something, trying to convince others, when you have a potential gain, some personal gain in it, and it's not, you know, people, you should be able to come here and represent your constituents. You're not making any money doing it. You're just trying to help out. And so we think by adding a phrase at the end, as opposed to deleting B, it was my original thought, because I couldn't figure out what angle they were trying to take. And I can tell you, Garrett Baxter's email that I got from the league, I still think there's a word "not" in the sentence, which I don't think belongs there, which obviously changes the meaning of it tremendously. And I sent him an email late in the day asking him to reread his email to me to try to give us a little guidance. So I think that, I guess what I'm hoping is that if we can figure out how 4B reads, I think we can get this behind us. Would you agree, Peter?
Yeah, I think that's really the only question. Actually, just as you were talking, we had discussed the issue of personally versus the rest of the verbiage in the first two lines through member of household, business associate, et cetera, et cetera. I think if you took that stuff out and just essentially said, a member shall not represent in a private capacity on behalf of anybody else on a matter pending that would create a conflict. In other words, what that would simply do is it would say, if you have a conflict of interest, you can't escape that conflict of interest by going out there and doing your presentation, even though you're not voting. A conflict of interest is a conflict of interest, and that goes with you whether you are sitting here voting on it or whether you are advocating in front of the council for it if there's a conflict.
Yeah, but by doing that, could that be viewed as affecting that person's rights?
That's censorship, as far as I'm
It
concerned.
absolutely does, it does impact your rights, but your rights, on this council, your rights have changed automatically. You do not have the free speech that you have not being on the council. For example, you can't walk out of here, none of us can walk out of this room, go before a group and say, I'm a city council member, and this is what the council thinks, if the council hasn't voted you to speak on their behalf. So you've already given up that right.
But if you go out and say, this is my personal opinion,
There's nothing that would prevent that in what I said. It's,
it's a real fine line, Pete.
the key here for me is, if you've got a conflict of interest on an issue, why should it make any difference whether you're out there advocating for the council to vote for it, or if you're here actually voting on it. It's the same conflict of interest. You have a direct or indirect personal or financial interest
So,
in the outcome of the council's vote.
so if they have a conflict of interest, they're not allowed to speak at that, during that, meeting?
They're not allowed to, they would not be allowed, if you have a conflict of interest, you can't speak as a council member on it.
Here, or either from the floor or at the table?
If you have a personal interest.
If you have a conflict
If you have a conflict of interest, yeah. That's, again, that's the key, and that's very different than what this says. Because this is, I agree with you, this is tremendously broad. I don't think it gets us anywhere on a conflict issue at all. All it does is create an opportunity for us to really throw stones at each other. And that's, that's not the intent. But if you make some changes in here, keep it on the conflict of interest issue, I think you still can do all those other sorts of things. It's just you can't come here and sit out there as a private citizen to try to convince the council, well, I'll use the example because we're talking about it, to convince the council to buy my property for the police station. You can't do that here, and you can't do it from out there, because you have a direct personal financial interest in the outcome of that vote.
Yeah, but they may have information that may be important to the decision. So if you're not allowing them to talk out there, you're not allowing that important information to possibly be heard. Even if it is in their best interest, it may still be in the city's best interest too. But by not allowing them to share that information, I think it would be censorship.
And if they were to talk about this to another council member to get this out onto the table, then it'd be, again,
That's a conflict, yeah.
yeah.
Let's just clarify, I want to just make sure, because there is more than a subtle difference between A and B,
Yeah.
right? And let's just get A behind us. Ziggy Como owns a building, and she has a tenant that holds a first-class liquor license and an outside consumption permit. And we were all here in a meeting when there was a neighborhood, the neighborhood expressed a desire to close down or very much curb the outside service agreement, okay? And the city council's gonna have to make a decision. Ziggy, she comes under A right there. This isn't, B is about representing somebody else.
Right.
This is A. So in the case of A, when Bar Antidote applies for an outside consumption permit, and it's on the agenda, and neighboring people come here and they speak, I would think that it would be okay for Zig to obviously disclose that she has a conflict of interest, leave this table, and speak from the audience as a property owner. I would hope that she would be able to do that and not return to the table for the vote.
See, I disagree with that. In that instance, that for me is the essence of a conflict of interest, is that a member of the council would then be acting for personal financial interests on this matter.
I would agree with Peter. I think that even, I mean, if Ziggy leaves the table and sits down, she's still a member of the city council and still has the power of, we all know, we all take her comments with a different degree of gravity maybe than we would someone who doesn't have that interest.
And therefore, so
She
what
has a
does she
conflict
do?
of interest and she shouldn't be able to, speak. I mean, I know that's a real situation, and it's a difficult choice, but.
That goes to censorship.
I disagree with, I don't think that's censorship. I think that it's a conflict of interest, and I agree with Peter on that.
So even though talking about me, and I didn't come back to the table and didn't vote on it, I abstained from it. So you don't have my opinion one way or the other. Except, you know, this has happened, not to me, but a couple other people the same way over the years. And if we didn't know some of the information that they gave us, and it happened to be one person here that was on the board, you know, and it's a good thing we found out, but the point is that they didn't vote for anything, they abstained, they went back and sat, and we asked them questions. The only person who owns the building, or owned the property, I think it was a property or business, you know, they're the only ones who could answer it,
Yeah, I don't-
so.
Like in
I'm
the
not
case,
sure how to
in the
solve
case,
that, but
in the
I
case
do-
of the Development Review Board, you know, when they hold a public hearing, any abutting property owner is an interested party, and obviously they have a right to testify at a public hearing. So let's, you know, obviously the 7 people that are sitting on the DRB, they don't control who applies for permits, all right? But, so let's just say that their neighbor applies for a permit for a variance to build some garage. Are you thinking that the DRB member in that instance can't protect their rights by testifying in front of the
I don't know,
DRB?
I guess, maybe, I guess I'm not a lawyer, and it seems to me like these questions probably have been solved somewhere, you know?
Common sense.
Yeah.
Actually-
Because I know it's a sticky, I mean, if I was in that position, I would feel very strongly like Ziggy does, you know? Like, hey, you know, that as the property owner, I should be able to express my opinion. But, you know, I do feel like it's, you know, I feel like under this definition, it seems like a conflict of interest. But again, you know, I know we're trying to project hypothetical situations onto these, and it seems to me like some lawyer somewhere must have already solved these issues, and there must be some kind of precedent that we can look at. And
I think it
maybe the
deals-
city, the council, or the league has the answers to
I
those.
think that part of the problem of A is interpreting the word participate, right? And participate in any official action. And participating in any official action is about voting
Yes, I
on
agree.
the request.
Yeah.
It's not about participating in the audience.
As far as participation in the,
In the
okay, I guess I would agree with that.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think I overstated the situation too in terms of that the A is fairly clear, that just has to do with voting here. I mean, I think in my mind that's very
Yeah.
clear. And remember that the only negative that comes out of this is potentially the council says you shouldn't vote, and the person says, yes, I should. I mean, there's no other negative consequence here. We took out the kick people off the council thing advisedly.
You get the woodshed factor.
Yeah,
There's a
there was a woodshed factor, yeah. And B doesn't prevent you from going out there and advocating for your own interests. It prevents you from representing, appearing for, or negotiating in a private capacity on behalf of somebody else on a matter before the council.
Now, when you say somebody else, again,
Use your realty. If
or
you-
antidote is in my building.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go.
So you can't, under B, you couldn't represent the antidote out here and present their liquor license or their reason for having an outside Cabernet.
No,
You
I
couldn't
wouldn't.
act on their behalf
No, I
under
wouldn't
this
anyways,
policy.
right.
You can be in favor of it, and you could recuse yourself, and you could go out there and talk in favor of it, and not vote on it.
But which we have already been doing things, I mean, I've done that right along. But what happened here is that the final meeting, like, use the antidote. When they were negotiating back and forth, I sat here, I sat there, I never said a word, and I listened. And then there was an agreement that came up somehow between city,
It was the time limit as to when they could be open.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here, and I own the building, and I was treated like I had no control over it, that I had no right to make any decisions on this. And when it all got done, because I had other businesses in the building also, I said, that's not gonna happen. I mean, they were back and forth. Finally, I stood up and said, that is not gonna happen. you know, and I mean, I sat there, they didn't have any, I couldn't say anything, but in the end, I mean, we wasted about an hour's time, and then finally, when things were coming up and I couldn't say anything, finally I just said, that's not gonna happen. That's how it ended. So sometimes, it's like you say, if I walk, or whoever walks away from the table and talk about it, and I'm not, definitely, I've never voted on anything that has to do with my building anyways, and I don't ever plan on doing that. But the point is that if that group thought that I had no right to talk at that time.
So if B just said, a member shall not, and jump down in the middle of the next line, represent, appear for, or negotiate in a private capacity on behalf of the rest of that, on any other matter pending before the city council that would create a conflict of interest. Does that narrow it enough, Randy, particularly?
Isn't that, aren't we supposed to be able to represent our constituents?
It's, no.
And there's no financial gain there.
Yeah, I don't think, right. So that would not be a conflict. If there was a financial gain, there would be a conflict.
I'd like to see
If
it
you're-
gone. But, I'll compromise. Yeah, I'll compromise,
So are you willing to accept what Peter has offered?
yes.
Does,
But it's always open to review though, right?
Yeah, that's,
yeah,
yeah.
All right, could you just repeat it again? I mean, we've
Okay,
had.
let me,
Just the last, Peter, where it says shall create, if you go up above it, see where it says, if he or she, in A, where, after the word action, it says if he or she has a conflict of interest?
I'm
In
sorry.
A,
In
in
A.
4A,
all right?
right after the word action, it says if he or she has a conflict of interest.
Oh, yeah,
If you
okay.
just cut and paste
Yep,
that,
yep.
right, that language, so that they're saying the
Was
same thing
if
at
she-
the end.
yeah,
If
okay.
he or she
Okay,
has a,
Right.
because then you, and not, because, okay,
okay, so it would read, I'm at B.
Okay. Amen.
I'm going to cross out, starting at personally. Cross out the rest of the first line. Start on the second line and cross out as far as employee.
Including employee?
Cross out, yeah, cross over, yeah,
Associate employer or employee.
the other,
both, cross out.
Okay.
Then at the end, add what Mel suggested from A, the phrase, if she or he has a conflict of interest.
the appear for or negotiate stays there?
Yeah.
Stay in,
Yeah,
okay,
so it would read in whole, a member shall not represent, appear for,
oh,
or negotiate in a private capacity on behalf of any person or organization in a cause preceding application or other matter pending before the city council if he or she has a conflict of interest in the matter under consideration.
Just out of curiosity, what's your problem with member of his or her household, business associate, employer, or employee? So I couldn't have my wife come in or son.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer to have that in there, but I'm getting the sense
I
that
got you.
everybody isn't there, so I was trying to simplify it by making it just me. You're right, it would allow a proxy. I mean,
But, again, it goes back to common sense. We all know that Joe's wife is Joe's wife. And Joe should recuse himself from any vote.
And we're trying to take the common sense out of here and make it more black and white, leave a little bit of the gray out, that's why.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and.
Like I said, I'm
understand-
willing
yeah.
to, I do not like conflict of interest policies, because we should be able to operate.
It's like, the reason they lock doors is to keep the honest people honest.
This is an integrity thing.
Yeah, I realize.
So,
But,
word it so that we can,
yeah,
I can live with the wording he had, or if you wanna put associate, employer, employee back in there, fine, I don't care.
I don't know what other,
What do you feel, Joe? How do you feel about that?
I just have a concern, you're telling
Leave it in there?
The thing is, I
potential
don't think there's a problem
employer
among us on the
on
council.
how to
I'm worried about somebody else accusing us of a conflict of interest, and that's why I want it to be as
function
clear
or
as
can't
possible.
function because you're a member of the council?
But as long as it isn't an equitable game, if it's it all boils down to money.
Well, Randy, that's why by adding that last phrase, if he or she has a conflict of interest in the matter under consideration, and when you go back and read the definition of conflict of interest, Article 3A1, it is defined as a direct or indirect personal or financial interest, okay?
Okay.
So the point is, it's like what Peter and I talked about, you know, when the city council was talking about the budget and about, you know, how the Vergennes Area Rescue Squad's per capita is. You know, we all know Peter's the president. He earns no salary from being the president of the rescue squad. So there is no you know, it's nice that Peter disclosed that. That's the right thing to do. But to also state that he receives no remuneration from that position and therefore does not have a direct or indirect personal or financial interest in the decision. And that gets back to what you're talking about. And that's why why B became foggy for me is it made it sound like you couldn't represent somebody even when you didn't have any skin in the game. And it really is when you could potentially be perceived to be having some direct or indirect financial benefit. And this makes it clear that you're never in conflict if there's no gain to be had from your actions.
If the state of Vermont, Buildings and General Services, throws out a grant, I cannot apply for it as the mayor of the city of Vergennes. The city and the city council can apply for it, but because of my direct day association, there is a conflict of interest.
Right, because it's
And-
an equitable game.
Yes,
I get that.
it could be moved, so.
So if other people are okay with leaving the rest of that in there, I'm fine.
Okay,
So then the only change in the whole thing is to add at the end, if he or she has a conflict of interest?
In the matter under consideration.
Matter under consideration, okay. All right, yep.
So we're leaving everything like it is and
Yep.
just adding the ending for
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
that's right, we're there.
Are you happy with that? If you're not, say so.
I'm willing to compromise. I
And,
don't have to be happy.
and it could come back to the table. You
Yeah.
know, Here we
And
are.
that was my
This-
question.
This, we'll call it a working document, working in progress document.
So put that down in your minutes, Joan. It could come back to the table.
What's that again?
This is a working document. If we end up need to tweak it a little bit more,
Well,
we have
yeah.
the opportunity to do
Right.
so.
I can tell you one thing that, relative to the planning commission and the DRB, both of their rules of procedure require them to review and readopt their rules on an annual basis. And I think this is the kind of thing that should come back to the city council, you know, in March of every year. I mean, it really should, is to review the rules and know what they are, you know, before you start taking any new action. So, you know, if you're ready to adopt this is fine, and it would immediately come right back to the board anyway for reconfirmation.
Do you people want to see a written document first, or do you want to ask Peter to make a motion to adopt it as amended tonight, with a stipulation that it's reviewed on a annual basis? If he's willing to do that?
Sure.
If so,
So-
if that's a motion, go ahead, Peter.
So like you do in Article 10, this policy shall be reviewed on an annual basis?
Reviewed and signed, right, on an annual basis.
Yep.
Okay, so I will make a motion to adopt conflict of interest policy with the modification on 4B, as previously discussed, and with the addition of an Article 10 indicating yearly review and signing.
And I will second.
Have a motion and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I'd ask for a motion to bring item D, the Juliana Jones Living, Vergennes Laundry request for outside consumption permit to the table. Randy makes the motion, Lowell seconds it. We're gonna, Mel wants to
I just
tell you
want
what's happening.
I just want to report that after our last meeting, I invited Mike Davidson, who is a liquor inspector, to come down, and I wanted to have his eyes look at all of our outside consumption areas. We did not go to the American Legion. We did not go to the American Legion or Eagles. Mike was very familiar with the Legion's situation. Obviously, their outside service area is up on a porch, and there's no stairs to come down. So he understands that one. There's absolutely no issues with that. The Eagles, I think Mike forgot about the pavilion, and he was going to drive back that way to refresh his memory. But Mike and I, we went to Up Top Tavern, we went to Three Squares, we went to Vergennes Laundry, ran into Peter, went to Black Sheep Bistro, and went to Antidote. Met with Ian there just to kind of go over all of the facilities. Anyway, relative to this outside consumption permit, when Mike looked at the site, and with the fact that an outside consumption area has to be defined with ropes and chains, and once those ropes or whatever is there, it still needs to meet ADA, and the amount of distance when you put the tables there and then add 36 inches, there's not enough room, and it just won't work. Number two, because Vergennes Laundry is not considering having waiters, having servers out there, there probably wasn't going to be enough oversight, if you will, of that, and so Julian and Didier came to the office today to just let me know that they have withdrawn their request, and I don't know, Joan, if they signed anything for you, but anyway, obviously you have an application on your, Melissa has it or somebody, but so anyway, they withdrew that.
We had a motion to bring this back to the table. Did we? We didn't vote on it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I'd ask for a motion to remove this from the agenda.
Or you just,
Or
let the
as
records
it's
know that it's withdrawn.
Yeah, it
It's
was
fine.
Okay.
withdrawn, it's done.
Okay? And then let the record show that it's withdrawn. Okay, the next item is review the use of the fire
Let me
station.
take care of the other one, Mike,
Oh,
right
sorry about
underneath of
that.
it. One of the things, the minutes reflect that the request for a new license agreement for Julian Jones was also tabled until the next meeting, and what I would request is that the council move that be continue to lay to the table until the next meeting.
I make that motion.
Ziggy made the motion, Randy seconded it. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Review use of fire station. Mentioned to Mel at the beginning of the meeting, there is one other group that should be added along with the Vergennes Heavy Rescue Addison County Firefighters Association in that block, and that should be Stevens Hose Company. Any other missions, Peter?
Well, Mike, what I did, and I talked to Joan before the meeting, is I kind of, without changing the substance at all, in other words, leaving it exactly the way it is, I made some suggestions for changes in the language, and because every place down through here in each section it says can be scheduled with the city clerk, can be scheduled with the city clerk. So I did some language that put it up front. It basically said the city clerk may schedule the use of the meeting room for events and uses that relate to the following, and then just group things after that. And I checked it with Joan. It seemed to make sense in terms of doing it, and it does not change the substance or the approval
Okay, all right.
or any of the names of any of the groups.
Right, so everywhere where it says can be scheduled by the city clerk, that's just all moved up
Well,
to the top.
It would say, for example, in, what were we, the third indented paragraph, that starts events and uses that relate to.
Yeah,
You could
Yeah.
eliminate that sort of language and just say, city functions to include city council, city manager, board of listers, board auditors, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I've got, if you wanna take a look at that, just to
oh, okay,
see
two
if it
and,
makes sense.
okay. I think I follow what he's doing.
Actually, we'll give this to Joan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Give
she's
this
got
to
it on
Joan
her
and-
computer.
You got it?
Yep.
First sentence now of each one, the following.
Yeah, okay.
Other organizations.
Yeah,
Or the
okay.
following it just keeps, it's repetitive.
Yep.
Yep,
He's saying just make a list, you know, and run them down.
And
okay,
And I did have a question, which is really why I kind of wanted to talk about it, was the question about whether there should be something at the bottom that is more enabling that says the city clerk could do anything else that's similar to that. In conversations with Joan, she seemed to be suggesting that it's better to keep this a limited, defined list rather than it is to make it too broad. And I go along with that, so that was why I originally had an idea of expanding it, but after discussion decided not to.
The
suggest
previous
that.
chief was strongly against bringing too many outside organizations in because of the care of the facility and the maintainability. Just take,
I
you know,
accept that, yeah.
so
Yep.
that was part of the reasoning for that. Then I guess I would ask for a motion to adopt what has been presented to Joan.
Sure, Joe.
And does anybody want to hear that? We'll go into discussion after. You're making the motion? Joe makes a motion and have a second on Lowell. Now we'll open up for some discussion. Further discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Now you're up. City manager's report.
okay, I'm gonna just burn through a few things. I just want to briefly talk about medical insurance. It was a little over a year ago when we were faced with a, 12 or 18% increase in our medical insurance. And if I remember Randy's motion, it was saying, Mel, just make sure that we don't go over budget, just fix this thing. And so we totally reconfigured our medical insurance to get a high deductible plan for employees, with a HRA to cover much of the deductibles. And there was a little bit of crossing of my fingers to make sure that that the reimbursement pools were okay. And the way that it works is our medical insurance is done on a calendar year. Similar problem. Budget's on a fiscal year. Medical insurance is on a calendar year. And the calendar year, although it feels like it's over, there's a 3-month rollout, if you will, that bills that get paid in January, February, and March, can be paid when they're paid in January, February, and March against services provided in the previous calendar year are still the previous calendar year's bills. So we're not over the year yet, but I can tell you that in our first year, we had a budget of, let's say it was $202,000 or $207,000, which was headed to $242,000. The numbers as of the end of January, right, Joan, was $178,000. So we saved at that point. We, instead of seeing an increase of upwards to $30,000, we ended up with a savings of $24,000 against the budget. Now, obviously, there still are some bills being paid in the first 3 months that'll get charged back, but I don't see it eating up $24,000. So that's worked out good for us. Relative to tax sale, there was a check in the warrants where the person that bid that property had to get redeemed, and so the two properties that did go up for tax sale were both redeemed by the bank, so that's all set. Just one more little comment about outside seating. The templates that we use for outside seating are about 30 years old, and they actually were written at a time when all of the outside seating was down at the level of the sidewalk. They were written before there was handicap ramps and before there was areas like what you see out in Three Squares. And if you read the template, it's it speaks about outside seating can't be more than 7 feet wide, and if you go down to Black Sheep Bistro, it's 12 feet wide, and it's absolutely fine. It doesn't hurt anything. So the point is that what my plan is to kind of go away from a template and basically have license agreements that are very specific to a particular, to each location that has them. And each one will have an Exhibit A, which will be a site plan that will show it. So I need to get all of those done. Those aren't, I'd like to get them done by the next meeting, but it's at least, the other thing that I want to do is instead of bringing those license agreements, having you sign them and then mailing them out for them to sign, it really shouldn't work that way. There should be a draft license agreement, send it out to the business owner, have them review it, see if it reads okay for them, and maybe there might be some disagreement, but at least let them have some opportunity to review the license agreement. No different than the license agreement that we gave to Small Cities Market for their fuel oil. I mean, we worked, the city attorney and their attorneys worked on that together to come up with that license agreement, and then it came to the city council. Likewise with the cables that Green Mountain Power have tied to our bridge. It's just the process that we've been using. To me, these license agreements should be an agreement, where both parties, communicate about the terms of the agreement and understand it, and where businesses have an opportunity to input. So that's something I'm gonna try desperately to get done, so that you'll have these in front of you for your March meeting. Zoning and subdivision regulations, the Planning Commission has set March 19th as their public hearing. And I will get everyone here a copy, and I would encourage you to go to that hearing. It's at 7 o'clock here at the fire station. It is down to 142 pages, not counting the table of contents, and there is a few pictures. But anyway, I'm going to get that out to you. We'll get you a hard copy just as soon as we get them off the printer. So I'll just deliver those somewhere along the way here.
So this meeting's for discussion?
This is Planning Commission's public hearing. Their public
Okay.
hearing. They're required to have at least one public hearing. And
Now, city council, would be able to ask questions right at that public hearing, or are
I
we
would
gonna-
say so, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wanna make sure now.
Yeah. Next item, I want to let you know that we have something headed our way, which relates to our wastewater system, in that we had a real high rains, high snow melt last April and May. And the result of that was we overflowed the McDonough Drive pump station twice. And we report those to the Agency of Natural Resources. Whether or not we overflow a pump station or whether or not we overflow the lagoon, because there's just so much inflow coming in, we have to call and follow up with a letter and to let them know. And what they do is when you have overflows, direct discharge, obviously of untreated sewer, the Agency of Natural Resources, requires you to attempt to address those problems. And so they sent down what's called a draft 1272 order, and I reviewed the order and sent a letter back with some comments. And what the 1272 order will require us to do, and this is an order, I suppose you could fight it in court, but that's not where I'm headed. what this initial, I'll say 1272 order will require the city to again conduct an infiltration and inflow study of our collection system, trying to find where there are areas of infiltration because of cracked pipes or sump pumps or roof drains or this type of thing, and report back to them. The draft order said said that we had to hire an engineer and conduct an analysis of our system and report back to them by December 31st. I requested that be extended to June 30th, because based on what I see outside, we're not going to learn much this spring. There's no snow out there, so I've requested that they could at least consider us completing that field work by June 30th, 2013. I haven't heard back yet. It was one of the last letters that I wrote. So, although the city's replaced miles of sewer line in the city, we still have infiltration problems. And some of them, it's not because of the city lines, it's because of private lines and private roof drains and private sump pumps and this type of thing. So it's something that we're going to have to address by either tightening up the system or potentially expanding the capability of the McDonough Drive pump station, or expanding the capability of the treatment plant. And I would very much not want to have to do the latter two. I can tell you that in the middle of September, when it doesn't rain, we only get about 220,000 gallons coming to our plant. In May, when it rains, 5 inches, we get 2.2 million gallons. That's the degree of infiltration that we have. So, to me, that's the side that we should be attacking it on, not to expand our treatment plant and treat more, but to try to tighten up our system, certainly as much as we can, so that we avoid any of these overflows. Next item, I just wanted to let you know that I've been attending meetings relative to Vermont Gas. Vermont Gas formed a Addison County expansion group. There's about 50 of us on this committee. There's local officials, there's people from VTrans, A&R, Army Corps of Engineers. There's a gentleman, last name is Searles. Peter, you may know him. He's the head of the heat assistance program for the state of Vermont. I think his last name is Searles. I think it may be Brian's brother. Is that Tim Searles? All right. There's the Conservation Law Foundation. This is people from Middlebury College, Porter Hospital, Kevin Hansen from BF Goodrich. It's a pretty diverse group of people. Anyway, we've had 3 meetings, and our last meeting is, I think, this coming Wednesday or Thursday down in Middlebury. And basically what the group is charged with is giving advice to Vermont Gas on what I'll call the configuration of their expansion. And what I mean by configuration is about a combination of transmission and distribution lines. And I won't bore you with I've learned more about Vermont Gas in 3 meetings than I ever knew before. But basically, obviously, transmission lines is the main pipe that brings gas to an area, and then there's what's called a gatehouse that changes the pressure from that transmission line into a distribution line. And distribution lines just run all around the roads in your community, and people tie into a distribution line. And so we're looking at configurations of how far south the transmission line goes, and when does it become a distribution. And I've told the group, I feel funny going to 4 meetings. I do pay attention, but all I care is that there's a transmission line outside Vergennes that we can tie into and get natural gas here. I don't care if it follows the Cirque Highway or comes down the railroad. I don't care how it gets here. I don't care if it comes in at Moncton Road, New Haven Road, or Route 22A. I don't care. I do care about what the gatehouse looks like, but I don't really care. But there's all kinds of discussion about should it be closer to Bristol, because someday Bristol could get it. Should it follow the CERC because the CERC is closer to Waterbury? I mean, it's a lot of discussion. They're still looking at, realistically 2015, I'm gonna say, before it would become available to Vergennes.
When they're talking about like say Vergennes, when they bring that distribution in, everybody gonna have access to that, or is it just gonna be limited to certain people? I mean, to a certain area?
In Vergennes, in Vergennes, Zig, I think that most everybody will be able to tie in. My house is 800 feet away from Panton Road. I might have to.
My house is 16 feet.
Yeah, you're probably fine. For me, I don't know. I don't know how it all works about whether or not, because I think everybody, whether or not they pay a connection fee or not, but my guess is that my house is 800 feet. Probably my house might not be available to natural gas.
When they were here the last time, the impression I got was that they were only talking certain part of Vergennes, and whatever. So I was concerned because, everybody should be able to have that opportunity in Vergennes. It shouldn't be just, we're only stopping here, like on this side of the bridge or something like that.
Well,
Yeah, well.
Well, you can guarantee they're gonna try to get it down to Goodrich.
BF
That's
Goodrich,
right,
right, but they may
certainly.
stop right there, Then you got the park and you got houses past that or
Yeah.
up through here.
Well, one of the things, there is a budget for this project, and it's been calculated. One of the numbers was 55.7 million, another was 58 million. At the last meeting, they felt that with the additional customers that they could spend $60 million on this project. So obviously, if you let's use Comfort Hill Kennels, right, which is a little bit off the beaten path here. It's very possible that from the economics are such that the numbers don't work to extend a distribution line that far to get to the Paquette's house and the Comfort Hill Kennel. It just may not,
Right,
right?
and that's Sears up there.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
And keep in mind that they've only got $60 million, and so they just can't extend distribution, because generally what they say is that building lots, if they're larger than 1/3 acre, you're not dense enough to support the frequency, the frequency of connections to the distribution lines. That's what they say. So, so to me, based on the information, no, Zig, it's probably not going to be able to serve every household in Vergennes, but I haven't seen the map. But there's no question, as Lowell says, it will get to Northlands, it will get to the schools, it will get to BF Goodrich, the mobile home park. That's perfect for
Prime real estate.
for natural gas. So anyway, we just really aren't at that level of
Well, I was just
discussion.
remembering the last time they were here, they said they were trying to get the prime area, and then.
Yeah.
And I didn't even see it go across the bridge, so I was gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at that time, when they were first here.
Yeah.
I think we should make a deal that they put a sidewalk on the other side of the bridge if they do go across, but
And actually, it won't be attached to a bridge.
it won't?
No.
Gonna put it under?
Well, I just know that they won't attach them to a bridge, so
They'll bury
All that
Yeah.
vibration and stuff.
they would directional bore.
Directional bore
Yeah,
underneath?
yeah.
They'd have to do some directional bore through that ledge, all right.
So anyway, that's that one. The other thing I just wanted to let you know that Green Mountain Power is really behind. They are behind relative to their streetlight project, but we are already seeing credits on our bill, because I think that, I understand that they're busy and they have other projects that they need to do, but it really should have been done in the fall, and Green Mountain Power has recognized that, and so there's a few $100 credit against our bill, and there's a $2,000 credit coming, so they're And that will, I think, inspire them to change the lights, because if we're paying based on LEDs, and they've got mercury vapor, metal halide or mercury vapor out there, you know, they're not getting paid for the electricity that they're using, so I
Two
think that-
questions. I'll
yeah.
interrupt you for a second. Where's the birthplace of Green Mountain Power?
I know.
You do. You can't tell.
Vergennes.
Bingo.
There you go.
There you go. How old is it this year? 100.
100 years old?
So they're going to have a little bit of a celebration, more to be announced at a later time. Thank you.
How are they making out with that windmill over there? Do you know how Job Corps?
You know, I do speak with Don Lorraine from Green Mountain Power on occasion. I mean, I know what I think it was in the newspaper. What the formula works is Northlands gets 10% of the electricity generated from the wind turbine, and the other 90%, in essence, it all just goes into the grid.
Right,
But
right.
10% of the generation is credited off from their bill. Because Northlands uses so much electricity, their meter that will not spin backwards, you know, but you know, some places they do in the middle of the night spin backwards, but that place, it never uses less than 100 kW in any given hour in a day. But anyway, they get a 10% reduction. So I don't know whether how
Well, I
things are
didn't know
going
if
or
you
not.
talked to them or anybody, how.
I mean, I just talked to Don Lorraine. I don't, you know, I actually wanted to get a little information about the solar farm, to be honest with you. I was curious about how that's doing. The last item I just wanted to let y'all know is when Dave Schlansky was recently trying to figure out what he owned next door here to 48 Green Street, I offered to lend him a little hand in looking up some deeds, and I ended up reading the fire station deed, and I discovered something in this fire station deed. This property was deeded to us by the Vergennes Graded School District in 1959 or whatever it was. And there's a clause in the deed that says that if the city of Vergennes ever sold the property, the proceeds of the sale went back to the Vergennes Graded School District. I just happened to stumble on it, and it's not like I'm, you know, scared and we're selling this, but the Vergennes Graded School District has dissolved, all right? And so here's a condition in a deed whereby it was what I call a stranded asset, that the Vergennes Graded School District dissolved, not knowing, if you will, that there was this asset that they had. And so Tom O'Brien and I've had Jim Omet get involved a little bit to figure out how to straighten this out. And I just wanted to let you know that if you see an agenda to the Vergennes Union Elementary School and the Vergennes Union High School about a quitclaim deed relative to the fire station, that's what it's about. You know, like I say, I think it was just something that just got forgotten. And it's not a big deal to me, but when I run across things like that, I just want to get them cleaned up, not have it be somebody else's problem in 50 years. So anyway, that's all I had, Mike.
Mel and I had the opportunity to attend a little ceremony this afternoon at the Bixby Library. They were celebrating receiving a grant to have Wi-Fi put in the city. That's moving forward with the help of Mel and a few other locals. Not sure exactly when that'll be up and running, but part of the grant, they got a couple laptops. They got some tablets, some other units that they'll be using throughout. And they also announced that once things are up and running, if you are a card holder to this library, that you can go on through the state library and get a lot of information and research stuff, and it will not cost you anything as long as you're a member and hold a library card. So get that piece of information out. So I just can't remember what my number was. So I have to go
Four or five.
not far off. Not far off. Good one though. You got me. All right. I have contacted every.
You're not skipping over the two items?
Oh, excuse me, no, no, we better go to those next, but I'll,
Okay.
all right, we're gonna go to new business, and then I'll continue on. Renewal of application designated downtown, by all means.
Yeah, what I have here is this one page, this is the cover sheet to the application, which is being worked on by the Vergennes Partnership. And it actually, we think of our downtown designation as being something that that it's the partnerships, that it's kind of their downtown designation, and it's not how it works. It's really the city's downtown designation, it's the city's downtown designation, and it's the partnership is the organization that's required to fulfill the responsibilities of marketing and you know, keeping the downtown strong. What ended up happening is there was an email that went out in the first part of January, and I think that when I saw it, I just assumed that Bill Benton and Tim Hodson and Beverly would just take care of it, and maybe they thought that I was going to be taking care of it. And the bottom line is nobody did anything for a month, and the deadline is it's either March 5th or March 6th, and so City Council isn't meeting again, and so what I'm looking for is for the City Council to sign, in essence, authorizing the renewal application for our downtown designation, because I don't want to be without that designation, and so Bill does know that application needs to be completed by, like I say, it's either March 5th or March 6th.
We don't need any motion on this. Right? Anybody have a problem with signing it?
And just,
Find your name and sign next to it.
and this is how we receive our grants for doing our sidewalks.
Yeah, it does two things, Randy. Yes, it does gain us access to the downtown transportation fund. And the other thing that it does is for those property owners doing projects that would be eligible for historic tax credits for improvements, you cannot, your avenue of accessing those historic tax credits can only come from a designated downtown.
Okay. Well, that's being signed. We'll go on to item number B, 8B, new business. First Congregational Church of Vergennes, Old Cemetery, transfer the trust fund.
Yeah, Mike, I put this on the agenda only because Gary Lewis called me before I went on vacation to let me know that, and Joe, help out, if you were at the meeting, he called just to confirm that the church did, or the church is going to. It was when he called me, and I actually expected to get something in writing, and I haven't seen anything cross my desk. So, but I will tell you, according to that message, they very much desire getting out of the cemetery business. But again, I don't think that the council needs to do anything until the city council actually receives a formal request, or whatever document is needed. And I actually haven't, like I say, Gary called me either the day before I left, and so I don't know. Joe, I don't know if you can shed any.
No, I really can't add anything to that. The church at its annual meeting voted to dissolve their cemetery committee and their oversight of the cemetery and allow the city to take it over. There's some funds involved, and I honestly don't remember how much is in that.
$28,000 is what he said.
So that means if I am card holder number 4 for the library, and I am eligible for a slot in the cemetery?
I don't think there's any slots left in there, Mike.
But that would mean that if we took it over, that we would be taking care of the cemetery. As this, like to have the city crew go over
Yeah,
there and.
well, I'm not sure we'd
How
have
would
to
that-
figure that out, Zig, but basically, as I understand it, and I haven't read Sue Furlan's, documents that she has, but basically, her documents conclude that the so-called old cemetery, burial, Vergennes burial, whatever the title is, there was a time when it was, clearly owned and managed by the city of Vergennes, and there was a time when where it transferred, when there was this trust created, the responsibility transferred to the First Congregational Church. in essence, because they accepted, this money that was willed to them for the care of that occurred whenever that was, whatever Sue said the date. And basically, what the Congregational Church is basically saying, we can't do that any longer, and just want to turn that back to us, and they wouldn't be the trustee of those funds any longer. The city is, in essence, back, not only owning according to Sue, the city never gave up ownership of the cemetery. We've always owned the cemetery. Always is a long time, but anyway, the care. It's about the care and care and responsibilities of which would transfer back to the city of Vergennes.
Yep.
Okay.
At different times, different people have done caretaking and done very poor jobs, and other ones have done very outstanding jobs. Northland did it about 3 years back, and it was really well maintained. This last year, there was another contractor that went in and mowed it and did an excellent job as well.
When I was a kid, we used to went over to grade school here. Sometimes our class would go over there, pick up the branches and, and if you had back then you had to push more for the blade, and take turns. I think it was 4th and 5th grade there.
So you got card number 7?
I got close.
Okay, yep. All right, good news, I guess, and we'll figure out how we're gonna. Hey, you better start talking to Jimmy about that one.
I've talked to him about it.
It's a little tricky to get around some of those stones. I've gone up and weed whacked a couple times to help out, and it does get tricky. Okay, so that does that. Back to the reading of the articles. I've contacted every organization. I've heard back from all but one. But I've made it known what the expectations are, and I've heard that there's going to be some people there to read the articles. But I'm still going to prepare the documents in a manner that, Noel, you're going to be where you are. You'll have like the first 3. If somebody doesn't show up for the first 3, you'll get to read whatever the first 3. I do want a PA system that night. We've got it. We just got to get it set up. Judy and I got to work on the PowerPoint and that sort of thing. So it'll go on through the different ones. So I may have to ask you, and you may have to go around to the speaker microphone to, because we want to. You just won't be able to answer any questions. But I've really pushed the fact that it's important that they be there. They're asking for the money, and they should be there to read it and be able to respond to questions should there be any. Okay, reminding people that aren't attending or started to attend and haven't been able to, there's going to be a meeting first part of March about the drug meeting, police chief. That'll be appearing on most likely frontporchforum.com, along with if you are on an email list from the chief. So I want to put another plug in. Great way to get news around, such as possible break-ins. You lost your cat, your dog. You want to recommend a babysitter. You want to sell something. So it's a great place. And that was another thing mentioned today at the Bixby. Vergennes is well over 200 members to the front porch, and trying to get it to grow. The bigger it is, the more information that goes around. We've even used it to mention about the upcoming segue into this next one. The American Legion Pulse 14th is has sponsored a candidate forum. Little lack in communications. Found out something, and this was really intended for the city council members. Letters went out to a couple other people. We just got to figure out how we adjust our agenda to try to accommodate the other individuals that were invited. So we'll try to make that all happen, take place.
Date, Mike, and time.
It is this Thursday, 7 PM,
7:30.
7:30, and it is upstairs at the American Legion Post 14th. And we want to thank them for taking this on.
To the right, where you
And-
play
and
poker.
Mike Donnelly will be the narrator, and Scott Gaines will be the timekeeper. So
And will it be televised or not?
Yes.
we wanted to keep that little quiet because we want people to turn out, because that's all right, that's all right. The point is, if we're going to.
How does this work? I've
we're
never
gonna-
been in one.
Well, it's partly still in the design phase because some of the ground rules changed a little bit, but there will be questions asked of everybody, and not one person will go first more than once, so it'll rotate through. Can't tell you what the questions are, because I don't know. We gave Mike Donnelly, and he's tweaking them, and he's not gonna give those up to anybody, he said. So he's working that. And what else do I need to mention about that?
Now, will people be able to ask from the floor?
It's a timing thing, Jake. We're gonna bring a maple sugaring bucket. And we're gonna bring some 5x8 cards and allow people to write questions on, the cards. And at some point during the question and answering period, they will drop those in, and depending on what we have for time left over, we don't know who's gonna show up, if it's 2 people, 10 people, and so that ranges how we have to go with the questions. And they're going to draw out of the bucket and try to get as many of those responded to as possible, those questions, so,
Okay.
okay? Reminder of annual meeting, March 5th, 2012. Meeting starts promptly at 7:30. And of course, the dessert social starting at 6:30. And yes, I'm gonna make my brownies again this year. So, looking forward to everyone, and I would ask Peter to make the motion.
Wait, I have a question, sir.
It's an admin meeting date.
Best laid plans. Vermont League of Cities and Towns sent around something about a couple of meetings coming up.
Yes.
For folks. There's like an
March
$80.
31st.
Do we get reimbursed for that, or is that out of
We
our own
can,
pocket?
we can register you and pay it. There's a line item for city
Okay.
council training,
Okay,
and if you fill it and bill us later, just let me know, Peter. We can.
Okay,
you
all
know,
right. Yep.
I don't know. That's what
Oh, I went to one of those once. I didn't know we could get paid for it. I just,
It's the registration fee.
yeah, I paid it. I sent
paid
it
it?
in. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, whatever.
Right.
No big, I just wanted
Yeah, no, there's a
about 3 years
couple
ago.
$100 or something. Yeah, I mean, there's the budget.
Oh, this one was $65.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wouldn't have been done.
Yeah, I think you can register online.
Right.
All right, and if you say bill me, they'll bill us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Before we ask Peter to continue on that next item, Randy was trying to get some clarification on the next community drug meeting group, and I believe it is March 7th, Wednesday, at 7 PM, and it'll be VUHS, and we believe it's in the auditorium. So stay tuned. I'm sure that that's gonna be put out in a couple different forms, Addison Independent and whatnot, so be on the lookout. And now, if there's nothing else, I'd ask Peter to make the motion.
I move we adjourn.
And I'd ask Randy to second it.
Second.
See how, change it up tonight. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Steps.